couple of minutes, then we will be going live. Write in the comments where you're from, just so I know who we've got there. New York, Wales. Oh, beautiful, tidy. Florida, California, Ipswich, New Jersey, Devon. The Devon Massive. Lovely cows down in Devon. Near Edinburgh. That'll do. That'll do. Sunday Newcastle, Chris Stobart, the man, the legend. You're that close, Chris. I almost feel like I could smell you. Okay, guys, just give it a couple of minutes here. If you want to join in with the exercises tonight, you might want to grab a little bit of paper and a pen. We're going to do a couple of exercises because a couple of questions that we've been asked. I thought we might as well share the love, share some learning here. All right, then, let's have a look. Who have we got here? Great Wolf. Gavin, nice to see you back again, Gavin. Joseph Conforto, that is a lovely name, Joseph. Colossal Big D, Devon, England. Theo Cordell, Lynn Fairbairn, Max, Sir Toxicity, Kind Week. It's 3 p.m. where I'm from. All right, what's this Cluedo, Kind Week? Could you tell us where you're from? All right, then. So, welcome back to the Believe in Bruce channel. I've got all the technology sorted now. Last week it was a bit of a nightmare, but you know we went ahead. We done it. We got through it on the iPhone. So what I've decided to do is, along with my corporate job, I'll take half an hour. We have started. We have started now. Is every Thursday at 7 p.m. is what I'm going to run the Bruce's Thursday Thought. And the reason why I'm calling it the Thursday Thought is obviously a lot of the stuff that I do is around body language, psychology, mental health and performance. As you know, anything to do with the head and heart. This is what we look at on this channel. So the Thursday Thought just sat nicely with me to create a space to go through, like I say, body language. There's a lot of questions come through about body language. That seems to be something that people are really interested in. But also you've got psychology, performance, you know, in work, at home, in sports. There's a lot of questions coming through. So if I can ask you first, if you're there, please hit the thumbs up like button, because that really does wonders for the channel and the algorithm and stuff. So hopefully if you can support the channel by doing that. If you're not already subscribed, please do that as well. Now, what I would like you to do is after this or during this, however you want to work it, is connect with me on Twitter or in fact, connect with me on both Instagram and Twitter, because I'm going to run a competition. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to run a competition. The amount of questions that I get asked along this same themes, I thought, actually, there seems to be a bit of a need, desire, there's excitement out there for people who ask me, Bruce, One, what books do you read? I've got a whole massive selection of shelves over there regards to my books. And also, they look for one-to-one coaching. How much do you charge? Can I book you, etc., etc. So what the competition's going to be over the next month is that I have got a pile of quality, and I mean really good books. These are not like, the Beano books or anything like that, Banana Man. Quality self-development books, psychological books that could help you become a better you, and all the stuff that we talked about on this channel. So there's a pile of books up for grabs. And again, I've already thought about disinfecting them and, reducing the risk of corona spreading, etc., which is why it's going to be done over a month. But also, as a star prize, if you will, what I'm going to be offering another person, maybe the same person, depends what happens in the draw, is one-to-one coaching with myself. Now, if you're in the Northeast, we can do this face-to-face. That's the Northeast of England, by the way. I know that we're going global. Or if you're in another area of the world where coming to Newcastle isn't applicable, it's just not doable, then we will do it over Skype or online. So that is a whole heap of books and another prize, which is some specific one-to-one coaching that you may be interested in. Or if you know somebody else who you think one-to-one coaching may help, a member of your family, your partner, etc., etc., then that could be the prize for you. And what you've got to do, obviously what I'm interested in is the performance, psychology, mental health and well-being. So either during this or after this, take a picture of me speaking to you now, one of my videos, just to prove you've been on the channel. Share it on Twitter or Instagram on either your story or your feed, but also tag 5 of your friends, because obviously that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to raise the profile, the awareness of my channel. And do that as many times as you want. And what I will do, because let's face it, we've got plenty of spare time at the moment, is that I will put all entries into a big box, the box that I've just got under my little desk there, and I will pull 2 winners out who will receive either or both, depending how many times you enter, because however many times you do it, I will put you into the box, that you will receive a big pile, quality pile of self-development books, psychology, personal development, etc., and the one-to-one coaching session with myself. Yours truly, Believe in Bruce. So again, show some evidence that you've been on my channel. Tag me in your Instagram stories or on Twitter. Tag 5 of your friends or any other YouTubers you think may be interested in this channel, and I will put that into the big box to just draw from the hat to see who gets those prizes. Again, the reason why I've done that is because there's a lot of people who keep asking, what books do I read, and can we have some one-to-one coaching with you, Bruce? Done. So let's get into it. Now, I asked for questions. I've got my new setup here, and it seems to be working. What I would like to do, first of all, is in the comment section, just so I know how to tailor this session, if you can let me know your job role. Yeah, your job role, and also what are you interested in? Why have you come tonight? Now, it might be for my enigmatic, charismatic personality. It may be for my knowledge, but let me know what job you do, and also why have you come here tonight, just so for future references I can start to say, okay, these people are in this area, they may be interested in this, or they do this type of job, they may be interested in that, because again, I work all over the world, and it's quite easy to tailor some sessions. But the first question that we're going to go into, there's 2 things that I'm going to talk about tonight. One is a body language training session. Again, there were lots of questions on body language, so I picked one that I thought would be relevant for the audience. But then also 2, a psychological development technique around about how to control your confidence in any situation. Because again, there was lots of questions about how can I be more confident, how can I be more assured, how can I stop doubting myself so much. That's the 2 things that we are going to be looking at tonight. So I've got here, how can I stay motivated to do my schoolwork when my bed is right beside me? Maintenance electricity, just love the info you give. I'm going to need one of these psychological books for my studies for college. Brilliant. Let's have a look here. Not work for 12 months due to anxiety and depression. Mozart, again, good to see you here. And we will discuss some of that. So the first question, all right, and it was a guy called, I hope I pronounce this right, Emilio from Brazil. So the other day I posted a video of a snapshot. So I done an Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz body language video when they were having their fight. And then I was getting lots of questions about like specific parts of it. Well, why did they do this or why did they do that? And Emilio's from Brazil. I'm not sure what the Brazilian greeting for hello is, so I'll just go for hello. Catching out liars. Oh, that's what it was. So there was a part of the video where Andy Ruiz scratched his cheek. I don't know if anybody who is online now connected with me, I don't know if you saw that video or not, but there is a specific part where Andy Ruiz scratches his cheek. And there was a lot of questions, well, has he just got an itchy cheek? Has he just not got an itchy nose? And again, I get all of these type of questions and comments on a lot of my body language videos. She's like, did that mean that he was lying? Did that mean that, that itch, that he was in some type of position where he was trying to hide the truth from Anthony Joshua? So I'm going to cover what somebody does when they itch in regards to body language, not just when they're itchy, but there could be a reason why that itch has appeared. So you can start to notice this. Now, this may be within your wife. You start noticing that. This may be within your husband, your partner. Are you trying to catch them out? Or just in situations in general, it could be within the workplace. Please remember, the reason why I teach body language is not necessarily to catch people out. All right. Now, I know that, catching people out who's a liar and I can tell if they're fibbing and or they're rubbing their nose and all this type of stuff. I know that that's interesting. But for me, when you're having a conversation with somebody, it's to develop what we call a psychological safety layer, that balance where you can trust each other enough to have that conversation. Because within my role, my job that I do, it's important to get the truth out of people. It doesn't mean they're lying. They may not be aware of their own thoughts. They may not be aware of what they're saying. But I know a lot of people use this tool to find out when people are lying or at least show some discomfort. So that's what we're going to talk about. And this will help you to try to, or at least this is how it helped me, to help groups of people build that layer. Because if they're keeping something from you, why? Why are they hiding something from you? Why are they potentially lying to you? Why do they not feel that they can offer what they want to? Is there some type of threat? So a lot of the stuff that I do is to help people be more in tune with their thoughts and feelings, because everything's better when people are more truthful. You know what the cards are on the table. You can deal with them. And if people are hiding something back, that means they're often scared. They're often fearful. And there's many situations where, well, it's not helpful to be scared. It's not helpful to be fearful, especially just in day-to-day conversations, be it at work, at home, in relationships, whatever, with your friends. So let's get into why Andy Ruiz scratched his cheek. And again, in the comments, have you noticed? Or if you notice anybody scratching their cheek after this, because a lot of the stuff that we get is around about, okay, Bruce, I noticed this person doing this, or I watched this video and I noticed this person doing that. So again, it's for your knowledge. So let's go back to my little friend up here, the brain. All right, the brain. Now, remember, we detect threats all of the time. And this knowledge might be good for you to help your body language as well, all right? But we detect threats all of the time. Now, threats don't have to be something that's going to kill us or injure us. We can just perceive something as a threat if we think it's going to be unhelpful. Let's just use that terminology there, all right? Unhelpful. So when we detect something that is unhelpful, remember, we make decisions based on will it help me or will it hurt me? If we receive external stimuli or we start thinking internally, so we dictate internal stimuli about a situation, then it comes to a part of the brain that's called the thalamus. And I will repeat this because when you keep repeating stuff throughout my videos, throughout these live shows, you understand what's going on. And not only do you notice it in other people, it helps you to be more calm. It helps you to be more balanced. It helps you to be more in control of your emotions, helping a better version of you to show up. So the information comes into the thalamus. From the thalamus, it's almost like, you've seen those either in Japan or China or New York, the traffic wardens with their whistles, and they will be moving cars to the left and some of them dance and all this type of stuff that you've seen on YouTube. Well, the thalamus acts as some type of traffic warden. It'll take some information in and it'll send it generally, again, I'm being sort of generalistic here, to two areas, the cortex or the amygdala? The amygdala is the seat of emotion, or seat of fear, if you will. Yeah. That if it detects a threat, automatically it will take over. Autonomous reactions. That bang, nothing else matters. The amygdala kicks in. An example would be that, have you ever been playing with your friends of any age, and you've been at the beach or you've been at the pool, and you've been enjoying a game, and then someone dunks your head under the water? They dunk your head under the water. And I want you to remember a situation where you may have been in a similar predicament, or that type of behavior has been observed. And when they dunk you under the water, it's sort of funny, or at least for them, but it's sort of funny for you, until people, a split second, a nanosecond, a fraction of a second, where your amygdala takes over and it says, I can't breathe. In that moment there is nothing more important to your body than kicking to the surface, than getting your head above the water. We experience fear, we experience discomfort, and you make no mistake about it. In that moment, a high percentage of, again, I'm going to use my words carefully here, are prepared to kill to get our head above the water. That is the amygdala. The fight or freeze response. It's interesting. Now, not all of the time is is that response present to that degree where we are prepared to kill, but it does show itself in lesser degrees, which is what we've got with Andy Ruiz. Because what we've got with Andy Ruiz, remember body language, we talked about that T-junction. Yeah. What was that person saying, and what did the body do at that particular time? Did we have congruence? Did we have synchrony? So when people say to me, Bruce, do you think your bow ties are fashionable? And I say, yes. That would be an example where we haven't got congruence, where we haven't got synchrony. If I was to say yes, and I'm doing this as an exaggerated, just so you get it from a learning perspective, that you would understand that, okay, he's saying yes and his head's going up and down. If he's saying yes and he's given the no sign, then there's not congruence. And this is what we look for in subtle ways. But it can also happen when somebody else is speaking. I just put a Khabib Tony Ferguson video up today to zone in on a particular point where Khabib moves a bottle. Yeah, and if you haven't seen it, just have a look after this. Khabib moves the bottle. And again, this is what's happened to Khabib Tony Ferguson. It says something, that noise hits his thalamus. The thalamus takes over. The amygdala picks it up as a threat. It then talks to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is where our hormone regulations is controlled, or a lot of the process starts from. That talks to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland then sends down to the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands give us that rush of energy. And this is what you get with Andy Ruiz. But what was interesting is, and again, you can watch this in any scenario, if you're ever in a meeting at work or with your friends, and somebody is saying something to the other person that is setting off their amygdala, you will see different things come from a body language perspective. So what you've got is the trainer, and again, I'll put the link down below, Manny Robles, which was Andy Ruiz's trainer. Now, it became apparent after the fight that Andy Ruiz had a horrific training camp. He had beat Joshua. He thought he was great. He was getting all this adulation. He totally forgot what he was, which was a boxer. He effectively forgot to train for the fight. But all of that was, it come out in the wash, so to speak. But what Andy Ruiz knew at that particular time was Andy Ruiz knew that he hadn't been training. Andy Ruiz knew that he hadn't been putting the effort in. Andy Ruiz knew that it was not going to be an easy night. So what you had with Manny Robles, when Manny Robles is saying, it's been a great training camp, we've had all the sparring partners in, he was basically trying to give this narrative where it was a highly impactful and effective training camp. That was what we call the trigger. All right, and we've all got a trigger in certain situations. Number of variables, but we've all got triggers. And you will have said, look, I want you to reflect on your own behavior. There would have been times in the past where you either have done something that you shouldn't have, or you haven't done something that you should have. And when somebody asks you about it, because you come from a position of negativity, of guilt, of, oh, I should have done that, but I haven't, or I shouldn't have done that, but I have, you're already primed to display those body type behaviors. So this is what we see in Andy Ruiz. Manny Robles speaks, which is the trigger. Remember, I talk about thinking, feeling, and acting. The trigger is Manny Robles saying, we've had a brilliant training camp. That's the trigger. That allows Andy Ruiz to then think. Now, I'm just going to get a drink for a second. Get very animated when I'm behind the camera, but it seems to be coming across very well from the views and all the subscribers. And again, thank you very much for your support. So yeah, Manny Robles speaks. Andy Ruiz hears this and starts to come up with a narrative. That voice of Manny Robles is enough to be the trigger. That trigger about he has had a fantastic training camp hits the thalamus, the amygdala picks it up. He knows that he hasn't had a fantastic training camp. That amygdala starts to talk to the hypothalamus. That hypothalamus, boom, there's the adrenaline. And what you get is this scratch. Now, he didn't scratch before and he didn't scratch after. And this is the key with body language. When you're watching, when you're observing what people are doing, you need to watch out for what they do at that particular time. We've got a slight delay here because somebody else says it, and then he starts to process that information, yeah? But Manny Robles says that he picks it up, the amygdala, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, the adrenal gland, that adrenaline dump, and you get this. Now, it's important to note that that doesn't mean that he's lying or not. All right, people will say, well, are they lying? What you can detect without question is an observation of what we call discomfort. And if I was questioning, if I was a fighter or that was my opponent, or if I was questioning somebody, police investigation, whatever it may be, and somebody done that, I would stop. My red gun sight would be straight on that point there. I wouldn't move because I know that that question made them uncomfortable. I know that that statement had that effect on their, sympathetic nervous system, which resulted in this. Because it happened at that particular time on the T-junction, boom, I'm straight in there. Now, it's important to note that with Andy Ruiz, there's a thing called a self-soothe. And a self-soothe, again, notice this either in yourself or the people that you are connecting with, is a self-soothe where you may find that someone rubs their chin, or you'll see them rub their upper arm. But it's a rub. It is a flat of the palm. It's a rub. That's like them saying, hey, it's all right. Come on, believing, Bruce. Come on. Everything's fine. It's a soothing hand gesture. That's what you see. What we've got with Andy Ruiz here, though, is a scratch. It isn't a slight rub. The orbital muscle around here heats up, all right? And he's scratching. That there is an irritation. And I want you to watch for this behavior in yourself or some of the people around you. Watch for the scratch. Not a rub, watch for a scratch. Biology doesn't lie. I keep saying this, but this is not my opinion. Biology doesn't lie. So, that scratch was a definite giveaway that on that particular, doesn't mean that he was lying, but he was uncomfortable. He was irritated by what was said. And again, all of that come from Manny Robles speaking. That was the trigger. Andy Ruiz then thought about it. He created a narrative in his head. That narrative was enough to impact the amygdala to speak to the hypothalamus, to go to the pituitary glands and the adrenal glands to get that adrenal dump. All right, and his action, thinking, feeling, the action, what you got, although it was subtle, it was like that. That would be enough for me. I'm going to zone in on that, especially if that's one of my opponents. I'd be bang onto that there. And this is what you get with body language. You've got to start observing what's going on. You must observe. Quite often what we want to do is we want to speak. We want to say our part. We don't really want to hear about anything else, what's going on. Everybody's always wanting to say their stuff. Where in my role, what I do is I sort of push myself back. I sit there and I just observe and I say nothing. And because I'm not trying to do anything other than observe, I see a lot more than the people who are trying to speak. That's really one of the biggest keys Yeah, just sit back and observe. Physically push yourself back and just have a look around. But when you see somebody doing that as an irritation, then you know you're onto something. And again, he didn't have an itchy cheek. It was because the guy said something, because it was in that T-junction, that 2 seconds before, 2 seconds after, we're onto something. Biology does not lie. So, Emilio, hopefully, I answered that question there for it. Again, we're going to try a little exercise now. 2-minute exercise. Put it on a bit of paper. Don't put it on a bit of paper. It's totally up to you how much you want to take from these sessions. But what I'd like to do with you now, I hope I mentioned it before, is think of a situation where you've done something incorrect in the past, or you were scared of somebody finding out. Because people ask me, Bruce, can you train people not to have body language signs? Effectively, can you train me to be a liar? All right. But what I want you to do now is just think of a time where you had done something where you were uncomfortable, where you wish you hadn't, where you, like I say, you were on the foot of being guilty. Yeah. Think of that particular time. Write it down if you've got a bit of paper. And it's important for you to think about, okay, so what did I do? And I want you to think about, where was it? All right, where was it? Who did it involve? And the question was asked to you, have you done this? Have you not done this? Is this you? Are you hiding anything from me? At that particular point there, remember, it's something that you should have done. It's something that you've done that you shouldn't have done, or you didn't do it and you should have. How was your body feeling? How was your body reacting? What was your heart rate doing? What were your palms doing? What was the blood flow doing? How were you breathing? How was it impacting your ability to concentrate, to focus? And we've all done 100, 1,000, more than 1,000 things in our life where we've been caught out and we shouldn't have done it. And if you just notice what the body does and how you were feeling at that particular time, that's where we look for those body clues. Those body language tells, because you're already feeling, sweaty palms, dry mouth, that anxious, the heart rate's good, because you've done something that you shouldn't have. And that's the most beautiful place to see body language in full effect. So again, notice how your body reacts. Notice what your body does when you're under stress to help you, which is what we're going to talk about now, become more confident in any situation. So let us know in the comments, was that interesting? Again, just a specific body language part there. And there's a million body language sort of acts or behaviors that we could talk about. But I just want to go through one by one to make sure that from the Believe in Bruce information that we've got, you find it interesting, and also you find it useful where you can apply it in your life. So remember, if you have just joined this live show, please give me a thumbs up. It'd be great to get some support for the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe below, and also join me at Twitter and Instagram. If you haven't joined us at Twitter and Instagram, that's where I'm getting most of my questions directed to us. So please, if you have got any, Bruce, we want to hear about this, or we want to talk about this body language example, or how this psychological tool, Twitter and Instagram is the best platform to try to get me on. And I do try my best to reply, though I do get a lot of messages. So let's have a look here. In fact, before we go on, is there anybody who would care to share what, that situation, what happened to them, where your amygdala was firing? You were feeling stressful in the chats, so we can maybe talk about that. When had you done something that, you felt you were on the back foot and you had all those bodily sensations coming through? We've got, that was honestly interesting. This is why I'm going to be taking it in college. Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much. What about blushing and sweating due to anxiety? Okay. Anxiety, I want to go home, they're kicking off. Let's have a look. Hello, everyone. Felix Brand, Gallifreyna. Why do I find it hard to talk properly when I get angry? It's like my throat wants to close up. Okay, that'll be the Glockal response. That's when you get the adrenaline dumps. That's when you start to almost, if you can hear that on the camera, again, that's because of nerves. And it's because of nerves, because of the narrative that you're talking about inside your head, which is what we're going to talk about on the next question. So stay around for that one. How can I reduce procrastination? I'll get back to you. That was a joke there from Believe in Bruce. You can have that one for free. Let's have a look here. Get caught lying. Okay, brilliant. So what we've got here then is Alexandra. Where is Alexandra from? Let's have a look from there. Alexandra from Cardiff. All right, Alexandra from Cardiff. So her question was, how to be more confident talking to people? Now, how can I be more confident talking to people? She mentioned that she's got anxiety, which is some of the questions that are coming up here. And again, this, I thought quite a long time about how to deliver this, because this is a beast, all right, talking about anxiety, because this is what it really is that when you want to be more confident, okay, so you want to start becoming more confident, what actually happens is your anxiety starts working against you and bringing you back down levels. So this is a bit more than we could go over in, the session that we've got planned tonight. But what I will do is I'll introduce the first step. All right. And if you're interested, what we can do over the next, few weeks is we'll talk through, by the end of it, how you can be much more confident in any given situation. If that sounds like a plan, let me know in the comments. That will be fantastic. But again, I don't want to skim across stuff like this, because it is hugely important for you to be able to understand what I'm talking about, to then apply it to get that foundation, and so then you can move to that next level. But like I said, to answer Alexandra's question, how to be more confident talking to people, again, it comes back down to this sympathetic nervous. Everything that I'm doing, not everything, but a lot of the stuff comes back down to the sympathetic nervous system. Thinking, feeling, and acting. So let's rewind right to the back, and let's look at the baseline foundation that we're going to be talking about here, which is awareness. In order to improve ourselves, we've got to become aware of the language that we're talking about inside our head. So when it says here, how to be more confident. Now, this could be public speaking. This could be in an interview. This could be asking someone, do they want a drink at the bar? Everything. Yeah, this is really applicable to that type of genre. So the narrative that we tell ourselves inside our head, as I tell my clients, you will never meet anyone more critical, more tougher an opponent than this voice inside your own head. We are our own biggest enemies. We are our own weaknesses. We are our biggest critics. But if you can control your thoughts, and remember, as True Geordie once told me, and if you haven't heard of True Geordie, you need to have a look at him. Fantastic guy, doing global superstar now, but come from the Northeast, doing Newcastle very proud. Thoughts become things. Me and True Geordie once spoke about. Thoughts become things. I love that. That's better than anything I've ever come up with. All right? Because what we think inside of our head generally will dictate our hormonal regulation. How we think dictates how we feel. How we think and feel dictates how we act, how we show up, the behavioural observations that other people can make of us. But if you can get more in control of your thoughts, you're more likely to be a better version of you. You're more likely to be a more confident version of you. And that's what we're trying to achieve here. Yeah, and these are the techniques that I apply myself. I'm an introvert. I love being by myself. Yes, I go and I speak to, 1,500 people is the biggest, well, roughly 1,500 people was the biggest stage that I've ever presented to. All right. And I speak to hundreds of employees within my corporate role, my organization role, if I will. But that doesn't mean that I find it easy. In fact, I'm exhausted by the end of it, because I put so much into presenting, and also I'm an introvert at heart. So I practice my own tools on me. When people say, oh, Bruce, there's no way you're an introvert. I am. I've just got to wear a certain hat. I've just got to get into a certain mind frame, situational confidence for that specific time in order to deliver a fantastic presentation, an engaging presentation. Yeah. Which is why I like speaking to the camera so much on YouTube. It's just me, the people in the comments, but generally just me in the camera. But let's start off with our head. The narrative that we tell ourselves inside our head, the sympathetic nervous system. Generally, before you go to speak to someone, before you go to present to someone, you will already be talking to yourself inside your head. And that can be unhelpful, or along the lines of being unhelpful. So, nobody will be interested. I'm going to make a mistake. People might find me boring, this type of stuff. So again, if in the comments, if any of this is resonating with you, give me some examples of the stories that you tell yourself. If your confidence is affected, by presenting, public speaking, even just having a chat, what stories? Give me some examples in the comments. What stories do you tell yourself inside your head? Remember, it's not weird. I always hear this, terminology from my clients, or this is weird or that's stupid. No, it's beautifully you. And the quicker you can accept you being you and stop comparing yourself to the person on the right or the person on the left, that's when we're going to see progress. But the stories that you've got inside your head, the beautiful thing with stories is that if you're telling yourself a negative story, that means it's a choice. That means you are choosing to tell yourself a negative story. Yes, the stimuli can be different and, the stories can be powerful. But my point is this. If you are choosing to tell yourself a negative story, you can choose to tell yourself a positive story. That can't be argued with. That's fundamentally correct. It's not a thing. It's not set in stone. You can definitely, without question, tell yourself a more positive story. And remember, again, on the Believe in Bruce channel, it's not about being, over optimistic. It's not about being pessimistic. It's about helping us to be in control of our thoughts and feelings to allow us to be more balanced. That's what we're going for. So we've got some examples coming up here. I've got help. I'm in work progress. I'm a lot better than used to be. I always think to myself, brilliant. So that's Isa Afzal. Hopefully I've pronounced your name right there. That's a fantastic one. I always think to myself, what are they going to say after I leave? Helen Abbott, any tips on books that would be useful? Helen, please stay till the end. There's a competition that he announced at the start. I'm going to be giving away a whole pile of books for the winner of the competition. I can only tell myself a story when I lack confidence. Brilliant. Blitzman, when I'm going to speak to someone, I say it in my head first, but sometimes I forget when I'm about to speak and my mind goes blank. Don't we all? I've been there before. God, there's so many topics I can cover here. We're going to have a crack at on a Thursday night. This is going to be fantastic. So the narrative that we tell ourselves, and thank you very much for sharing your stories, your narratives that you tell yourself inside of your head. Really humbled that you feel safe enough to do that. Thank you. That really means a lot. So the narratives that we tell ourselves inside our head is often perceived on a threat. Yeah, we just don't know it. We just haven't got that awareness to be able to say, all right, the reason why I'm saying this is because of this. It might be a fear. So we see that, the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, let's call it the tip of the iceberg. But what's beneath the water, that's where the energy or the reason or the foundations of this fear lie. So what we've got to do is, first of all, become aware of the narrative that we play ourselves. That story that we tell about, well, what will they say when I leave the room? Okay, good or bad, what will I say when they leave the room? And all those other stories that have got a similar vein. But what I'd like you to do, okay, in fact, let's try it. All right, we talked about exercises tonight. I'm not on about jumping up and down. I don't think I've done that much exercise since. I tell you what, I am a star on my kids' trampoline now. I am going to be an Olympic trampoline gold medalist by the time that we are allowed out of lockdown, I tell you that. But what I'd like you to do is either write down or remember, a certain time when you weren't feeling your best. So this might be a specific situation that you were going to go into, that you had to do, that you had to face, that you may have had to, present. But you'll know this because it's specific to you. So while I ask this question, I might have 1,000 different variables out there, different stories go around in people's heads, because your story is your own story and you are beautifully you. So think about that particular time. Now, you might have a lot of situations, all right, but I just want you to focus on one, the first one that sort of comes up here. All right, what was going on? Write it down. What was going on? Who was present? Thank you for the thumbs up as well. Much appreciated. What was going on? Who was present? What was the specific situation? Like, what was the task that you were being asked to do at that particular time? And what was the story you were telling yourself? What was this thing? What were you worrying about? Yeah, because sometimes we just get into this cadence, this wheel, where we don't actually realize what we're worrying about. We're just worrying. It's too strong. We're not actually thinking clear. We haven't got any clarity of thought because this worry becomes too strong. So what was it that you were worried about? And the reason why I've said write it down is because all the research backs up. You know, when people tell you when you go to bed at night, don't keep thinking of what you've got to do in the morning, write it down. It allows our sympathetic nervous system to calm down, to reduce. It's on the paper now instead of our head. And also, by becoming aware of what we're worrying about, we can look at it. We can observe it on this bit of paper. I'm trying to find a bit of paper, but I haven't got one to hand. Yeah. But by having it on that bit of paper, you can look at it and say, okay, this is what I'm worrying about. And that there is the first step. The first step is awareness. Become aware of the narrative, of the story that you are playing yourself. Because if you don't become aware that it is a story, and you don't become aware that you are in charge of that narrative, then you're less likely to be able to give yourself a choice or change that narrative, because you're moving. You're on that hamster wheel of panic. You're on that hamster wheel of anxiety. Yeah. So when it comes to that narrative itself, you also got to understand that everybody's different. A lot of the time when I work with my clients, be it in group situations or individual one-to-one situations, and this is globally, all right, this is globally applicable. And this is why I use think, feel, and act. Because every single person on here now, every single person that I work with in the world thinks, feels, and acts in their own unique way. Yes, there'll be commonalities with people, that your friends, your colleagues, or anybody you never met before. But there's also massive differences. How you are genetically, how your brain's set up, how you've been conditioned, the experiences that you've had through life. All of it and more presents what I call beautifully you. So you've got to start getting in tune with how you think, feel, and act, and try to reduce the amount of time you start to compare yourself, because that's unhelpful. Stop comparing yourself with other people and focus on you and get more in tune with you. That's a really beautiful place to start. But becoming aware of those thoughts, is the first key. And some of the simple tools that I offer my clients is set yourself a reminder. Just say you've got a task coming. You're going to have to speak to somebody. You're going to have to present. You're going for an interview, whatever it may be. Actually, physically get your phone and put a reminder in, maybe once, twice, 3 times a day, about that task that's making you nervous, about that task that's, that narrative is being unhelpful in your head. And set a reminder. It doesn't take any more than 2 minutes just to get a blank bit of paper. And when that reminder goes off, write down, what stories am I creating about that event? What stories am I creating about that situation? And I know that seems simple, but what you're doing here is, first of all, you're stopping. You're creating a specific time to stop that hamster wheel turning, to stop that wheel of anxiety turning. All right, you're stopping. And then what you do by actually exploring your thoughts, by writing them down, is you are pausing, stopping, pausing. And then the third one is pondering. Stopping, pausing, pondering. Stopping, pausing, pondering. The reminder goes off. I then start to write down. I'm pausing. I'm seeing the information that's going on in my head. And then I am pondering. I am wondering, how else could I look at this? How else could I look at this situation? By doing those 3 things there, what we're doing is we're creating a foundation, a first step to be more in control of our thoughts and feelings. You've got to become aware of your thoughts before you can do anything else. Without that awareness, anything else that you try. You might not even be aware that you're an option to try something different because you're on that wheel of anxiety. You are just running constantly without the awareness that you can even stop and turn left instead of going right, that you can reverse instead of going straight on. So that's the one tool that I would like to give you today. And again, there'll be a number of tools coming on a weekly basis that by the end of it together, I've never had one client fail yet where they haven't actually come back and said, Bruce, I feel much more confident now I've been through these steps. It will help you become a better version of yourself. But just try it over the next 7 days. Drop us a message on Twitter or Instagram. Let me know how it's working for you. Stop, pause, and ponder. That is the first step, the awareness step, to answer Alexandra's question, how to be more confident, because it all comes down to anxiety, that narrative that we're talking about. That's step one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that there because I wouldn't want to give any more information, because just like going to the gym, which we can't at the moment, all the gyms are locked down. But you don't go to the gym and do one bench press or, one shoulder press and then you think, no, it's repetition. If you're knitting, you knit all the time, you get better at it. If you're on the trampoline like I am, you'll get better at it. You need to do this task again, and again. You call it muscle memory, all right? Cerebral memory, to get more aware, more in control of your thoughts and feelings. Quite simply, I can only offer the advice. But the more times you do it, the more times you'll be more in control of your thoughts and feelings. The more times you will get that stronger awareness and control of the narrative that's going on inside your head to allow you to be a better version of yourself. So, Alexander, I know that didn't answer your full question, but there was just too much to sort of bite off there, if I can call it like that. But I will answer your question as the weeks progress. Let's have a look here now. So, as I said, there was, I can't remember who it was before who asked about the books. Like I said, there is a competition. What I'm after is for you to either take a screenshot of me now or just a screenshot of my channel, me on one of my videos to prove that you've been here, and either share it on your Instagram story, and tag me in on Instagram, Believe in Bruce 360, and tag 5 of your friends in, obviously trying to raise awareness of the channel, and do the same thing on Twitter. And you can do it as many times as you want. Obviously, probably better not to tag the same 5 friends. And every time somebody does it, I'll be taking a screenshot, I'll be printing it out, I'll be putting it in my little box down there. And then what I'll be doing is I will be drawing names from the hat for 2 prizes. The first prize will be a stack of self-development books that I've got across here. So like I say, confidence, public speaking, psychology, personal development, some real quality books that I read myself and I practice with my clients. But if not, we can do it online. So even if you're not looking for coaching, again, a lot of people are, because I get a lot of messages, can you do one-to-one sessions? But that will be a prize as well. So if you are interested in books, or either you or somebody else you think may benefit from one-to-one coaching sessions, take a screenshot of this, any of my videos, share it on Instagram, tag 5 friends, tag me in the story, tag me on Twitter as well. And again, do that as many times as you want. It's going to go into the plastic box. And that helps me to help you guys as well by supporting the channel. So, quickfire questions at the end here. 5 minutes for some quickfire questions. If you've got any, put them in the comments and I will go for broke. Also, have you found this helpful? Have you found this session, have I told you something that you can go and apply to yourself or any of your loved ones around you? That's always good feedback to get. So, when I had to present something, very good question. So Blitzmania, when I had to present something, my legs started shaking. Was that adrenaline? Absolutely. It was adrenaline. I'm going to let you into a secret. Don't tell anybody, but my leg shakes too. Honestly. Yeah, my hands go sweaty, my mouth goes dry. But that's, again, it's about the narrative that you tell yourself. All right, the narrative that you tell yourself inside your head. And I've done an Instagram video. Every now and again, I do these little sort of 15-second Instagram videos. To be fair, they're never 15 seconds because, as you know, I love to narrate. I love to converse. But what I give an example of there, that I think I was going to give a presentation of about 250. In fact, I'm not even sure. I know it was like hundreds of people that I was going to give a presentation to. and I have this fear, my amygdala kicks in, my adrenaline starts to go, I start getting butterflies, etc. But a lot of people, and I'll talk about this on in more depth on a different session, on a different live stream, maybe one Thursday night on another Thursday Thought, is that it's the narrative. Because when you start to do these certain things, let's talk it through. All right, so when you're nervous, when you're feeling anxious, or when you're anxiety, it's a very negative label that we associate ourselves with, isn't it? Yeah. And again, if you've been in that situation before, have you ever narrated to yourself that I feel anxious, I feel nervous, but you've taught yourself it's a negative perspective, yeah? Well, what I do is I just flip the label. Because when you're anxious, your heart beats fast. I was talking to a number of people last week about this. Your heart beats fast, your breathing increases, your palms may go sweaty, your mouth may go dry, your blood flow starts to bounce around a little bit more, all right, when you're nervous. But let's flip the label. All right, let's flip the label. What happens when you're excited? What happens to your body? In fact, what happens to your heart when you're excited? What happens to your palms when you're excited? What happens to your mouth? Well, exactly the same thing. So when I'm excited, my heart starts to beat fast. My blood flow speeds up. My mouth goes dry. My palms go sweaty. My legs start to shake. But the thing that I do that helps me, instead of saying I feel anxious, what I do is I feel excited. I feel excited because I acknowledge that that's just the way that I am, the way that my body starts to prepare itself for going to present in front of people. So feel what your body does. Don't look at it as a negative. Look at it, it's beautifully you. And embrace the fact that you're not anxious, but you're excited. Try that. It's a really powerful tool. Let's have a look. One more question here. How would you become more motivated? Bit of an ambiguous question there, Joe. Again, motivation is something that I talk a lot about my corporate clients with. I always like to challenge motivation with, do you enjoy it? Because people talk about, I'm going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go to the gym and all this type of stuff. The fact is, if you don't enjoy something, you're not going to do it. It's often not about being motivated. It's about finding stuff that you enjoy and then you'll do it. So again, maybe switch motivated to enjoy. Now, there's some stuff in life that, you have to do. You have to do that you might not enjoy. Like me, when I was doing my dissertation at university, that did not come easy to us. Yeah. So I had to give myself little goals. But if you're on about long-term motivation, it's about finding something that you enjoy. Because if you create, I've got my little cube here. This is what I work with my corporate clients. Yeah, corporate clients. Any corporate clients on there online here, you might want to give us a shout for this. So this is a cube that we use all over the world because Think, Feel and Act is applicable globally to help people to be the best version of themselves. And it's about creating, again, I'll talk about this on another Thursday Thought, the ingredients around you that help you be the best version of yourself. And it's about noticing what is around you, what you are doing less of when the best version of you is present. And that's often stuff that you enjoy. So one more here. Let's have a think. Proper breathing is about diaphragm muscles, not pulling belly in. So, good question. Again, when I think of my plans I've had in the near future and anticipated money, I'm then faced with obviously the health situation that's going on at the moment, quarantine in Chicago. I begin to feel trapped and stressed. Any tips? Absolutely. It's exactly the same. The narrative. Notice that narrative, that you get that blank bit of paper out. Get that blank bit of paper out to stop. Write down your thoughts to pause. And then look at how else could I look at this, because there's always somebody worse off. It's about putting this new set of glasses on, putting a different set of glasses on so you can help you think, feel and act that little bit better. But again, everything to do with anxiety comes from stop, pause, ponder. Creating that space to write down on a bit of paper, and the pondering is, how else could I look at this? It's not about being optimistic or too optimistic. It's not about being too pessimistic. It's about helping you find that emotional balance so that you can be the best version of you. So the Andy Ruiz link, if you want to check this, the scratches below. Remember, tag me in your Instagram stories and Twitter with 5 friends as many times as you want in order to be put in the pot for all of the books. There is a substantial amount of books I've got to give away there, but also the one-to-one sessions. And if you have got any direct questions, then please Twitter or Instagram, and I will try my best to get back to you. But as I end every video, above everything else, please remember to be kind to yourselves and each other, because that's where it really counts. Thank you very much for your time. I'll speak to you soon.